You can't trust your body, and that's destroying your mental health. Researchers measured 478 adults across 8 dimensions of body awareness and found something shocking. The single strongest predictor of psychological well-being wasn't optimism, social support, or exercise. It was trust. People who trust their bodies, who experience their body as safe and reliable, report significantly greater autonomy, better relationships, stronger sense of purpose, and higher self-acceptance. Here's why that matters. Most of us are so disconnected from our bodies that we miss signals constantly. We ignore tension, push through discomfort, and barely notice what's happening inside until something goes seriously wrong. And here's the kicker. 60 to 80% of primary care visits are stress-related. Fatigue, insomnia, headaches, high blood pressure, all driven by a body-mind disconnect. The science behind this is called interoception, your internal GPS system that's constantly feeding you information about your heart rate, breathing, digestion, muscle tension. Most of this happens below conscious awareness. 3 out of 4 interoceptive processes are preconscious, meaning your body and brain are having an ongoing conversation without you even knowing it. When this system works well, you feel signals clearly, interpret them accurately, and respond appropriately. This creates what researchers call a felt sense of safety. But when it's not working, when signals are unclear or you can't trust what you're feeling, everything gets harder. Let me show you what this looks like in real life and how to fix it. Let me give you a real example from clinical practice. There was a teenager named Evelyn who came in for occupational therapy at 15, struggling with weight gain and needing a toileting schedule at school. No medical issues with her digestive or urinary systems. The problem was interoceptive. She couldn't feel when her bladder was full until it was extremely full. She couldn't sense satiety when eating. Her threshold for registering these internal signals was really high. The sensations had to be very intense before her brain paid attention to them. This wasn't a willpower issue. It was that her interoceptive system wasn't giving her clear information. Or consider Emma, a 10-year-old who seemed clumsy in sports and social play. She'd run into peers, couldn't learn new games easily, looked uncoordinated. Testing revealed she was having trouble interpreting information from her muscles and joints while moving through space. She could register the sensory input, but she couldn't make sense of the details needed for smooth, coordinated movement. Again, this is interoception. Your sense of where your body is and how it's moving is part of this internal awareness system. Now, the good news is you can improve this. One of the most accessible ways is through something called body scan meditation. This practice was popularized in the United States back in the 1970s by Jon Kabat-Zinn as part of mindfulness-based stress reduction. The technique is simple. You systematically scan through all parts of your body from head to toe, just checking in with the sensations. How does each part feel? You're not trying to change anything or judge anything, you're just noticing. Dr. Melissa Young, a functional medicine specialist at Cleveland Clinic, explains it as taking an inventory of your mind and body. Sometimes we're so busy that we're not really aware of what's happening in our bodies. There can be a huge disconnect between body and mind, and a body scan meditation is a way to bring those together. The key is to do it slowly and without labeling sensations as good or bad. Just feel them, notice them, name them. This might sound too simple to matter, but the effects are real. Studies show that even a quick body scan meditation can reduce the severity and perception of chronic pain. When you practice this regularly, your nervous system starts to remember how to relax. It becomes easier for you to come out of sympathetic fight or flight mode and move into parasympathetic rest and digest mode. And here's a stat that should get your attention. 60 to 80% of primary care visits are related to stress in some way. Stress contributes to fatigue, insomnia, headaches, high blood pressure, all kinds of issues. Techniques like body scan meditation can actually mitigate stress in both body and mind. But here's what's really interesting from the research side. A study with 478 adults looked at the relationship between interoceptive awareness, mindfulness, and psychological well-being. They used validated measurement scales to assess all 3 constructs. What they found was that interoceptive awareness and mindfulness are tightly interwoven but distinct. Greater mindfulness is strongly linked with greater body awareness, and both independently predict better psychological well-being. The researchers identified two main patterns. The first they called the regulatory awareness cluster. This is where being observant and non-reactive allows you to pay attention to your body and use those sensations for regulation. If you can notice what's happening in your body without immediately reacting with stress or judgment, you can use that information to calm yourself down. The sensations become anchors instead of threats. The second pattern is the acceptance in action cluster. This is where being less judgmental about your bodily sensations means you worry less about them, which lets you act more intentionally. If you don't automatically label every uncomfortable sensation as bad or dangerous, you don't spiral into anxiety about it. One of the strongest findings from this research was about trust. The study used something called the MAIA scale, which measures interoceptive awareness across 8 different dimensions. Things like noticing body sensations, not distracting from discomfort, not worrying about unpleasant sensations, regulating attention to the body, awareness of the connection between body sensations and emotions, using body awareness for self-regulation, listening to the body for insight, and trusting the body. That last one, trusting, showed the strongest correlation with psychological well-being. People who trust their bodies, who experience their body as safe and reliable, report significantly greater well-being across the board. They have more autonomy, better relationships, more personal growth, a stronger sense of purpose, better environmental mastery, and greater self-acceptance. This makes sense when you think about it. If you can't trust the signals your body is sending you, you're constantly dealing with uncertainty at a very basic level. Is this sensation dangerous? Should I be worried? What does this mean? That uncertainty creates stress and anxiety. But when you can trust your body, when the signals are clear and reliable, you have one less source of constant low-level stress in your life. The research also found that the style of attention you bring to your body matters a lot. You can pay attention to your body in an anxious, hypervigilant way, constantly scanning for problems, catastrophizing every little sensation. That's maladaptive and actually makes things worse. It's linked with chronic pain, anxiety disorders, and disordered eating. Or you can pay attention in a mindful way, with curiosity and acceptance, just noticing what's there without freaking out about it. That's the adaptive form of interoceptive awareness, and that's what predicts better outcomes. Here's something else that's important. This isn't just about conscious awareness. Remember how I said most interoceptive processes are preconscious? Your body is automatically managing all these regulatory functions, keeping everything in balance, and you don't have to think about it. That's actually ideal. The practice of body awareness isn't about becoming hyper-aware of every sensation all the time. It's about improving the quality of that automatic system and your relationship with it. Think about it this way. Your body is generating predictions all the time about what should be happening based on past experience. When incoming sensations match those predictions, everything runs smoothly. When there's a mismatch, a prediction error, that gets flagged for attention. The brain then has 3 options. It can update the prediction to match reality, it can take action to make reality match the prediction, or it can regulate attention to the sensation. This process of prediction and error correction is happening constantly, and it shapes everything from your emotions to your sense of self to your experience of time. Emotions arise through the interaction between your body's predictions and actual sensory feedback. When you practice being more aware of your bodily sensations without immediately reacting to them, you're essentially giving your brain better information to work with. You're improving the accuracy of both the predictions and the error correction. This is why body awareness practices can be so effective for emotion regulation. The clinical applications are pretty broad. For the teenager who couldn't feel hunger or bladder fullness, treatment involved both increasing the salience of bodily sensations through sensory motor activities and directing cognitive attention to those sensations through body mapping and questioning. For the girl with motor coordination issues, repetitive rhythmic movements and slow controlled exercises with varying speeds helped her learn to discriminate interoceptive sensations more clearly. For kids with emotion regulation problems, creating opportunities for the body to encounter and recover from homeostatic shifts, like controlled physical exertion, while teaching them to label and attend to those sensations, builds better regulation capacity. What all these interventions have in common is they're working from both directions. Bottom up, they're providing rich sensory experiences that give the body clearer signals to work with. Top down, they're training attention and interpretation so the person can make better sense of those signals. It's not one or the other, it's the integration of body and mind working together. If you want to start improving your own body awareness, begin with simple practices. Take a moment a few times a day to just check in with your body. Scan through and notice where you're holding tension, what sensations are present, how your breathing feels. Don't try to change anything at first, just notice. You can do this before a big meeting, after a stressful conversation, when you wake up, before bed, really anytime. The more you practice this kind of non-judgmental noticing, the clearer your internal signals become and the better you get at using that information. Over time, you'll find yourself more grounded, more connected to your body, and better able to regulate your emotions and energy. You'll make decisions more easily because you'll have clearer information about how things actually feel. You'll catch stress earlier before it builds up into something bigger. And fundamentally, you'll develop a sense of trust in your body that creates a baseline of safety and well-being. Your body is constantly communicating with you. The question is whether you're listening.